The name of this documentary is Breaking the Curse, Lifting Black Men in South Dallas. It describes some of the challenges black men face in South Dallas, Texas, the notorious 75210 and 75215 zip codes. Let me explain. Many black men in South Dallas are broken and struggle to survive the daily grind of inner city life. They deal with a barrage of issues such as unemployment, violence, police brutality, poverty, felony records, homelessness, poor education, and much more. In this documentary, some of these men, in their own words, discuss and share how they are breaking these curses. We hope this documentary inspires and motivates all stakeholders in South Dallas to take urgent action, lifting black men in South Dallas.
Unemployment is a real issue here in South Dallas. What are your thoughts about it?
With unemployment being a very big issue in South Dallas, the thought is that we have to deal with the population that we have. Unfortunately, we're blessed with a population that want to have second chances, but again, because of felony convictions in their background, because limited skills, we need jobs that are focused on uplifting them. Not just jobs, not just training, but we have to realize that the training, it must be specific to particular jobs that are sustainable. Not day labor, not just manual labor, but where they can uplift themselves, and that gives them that sense of pride, and that helps unemployment.
You have to be willing to work in order to get a job. You have a lot of people that don't want to work because they feel as if they're not getting their just dues. They're not making enough. You're asking too much of me for so little money. Every day, the cost of living goes up, but the pay never changes.
Would improving the education in South Dallas also contribute to that?
Improving the education in South Dallas would be a major contributor in uplifting, eradicating unemployment here. You have to be educated. You have to have a solid skill set. We have some schools that are doing very well, and we have some schools that are in difficulty. But it takes educational system, it takes the churches, it takes nonprofit, all coming together and meeting the needs where they are.
Are you happy with the help that you receive, the community receives from its politicians?
With the help that the community receives from the politicians, I think we can always receive more. You have to have a passion for this type of work. This is, when we talk about from a political standpoint, that's important because we have to have political engagement. But you have to have a passion for the work that you do. You have to have the passion for seeing people, not just when it's time to be voting, but you have to have a passion to see people walk forward in every day of their life and to be invested in this community.
Okay, young man, tell me what is the biggest need in South Dallas to help young black men?
Well, we need more people come out here, help us, help find jobs and stuff, So we don't have nobody really come out here helping us with nothing, because it's South Dallas.
Why do I think that jobs in South Dallas are difficult to find? Number one reason, there's not a lot, right? So we need some job creativity around here. Some more businesses that are susceptible to hiring guys in this community, because number one, we're already stereotyped. When they say South Dallas, many people tend to run to the left, and they already think that it's ghetto or a slum neighborhood, so to speak, because of the homeless problem and the drug problem that are around here. So I think a lot of businessmen are afraid to have businesses here.
So let's first talk about the unemployment situation in South Dallas.
My name is Notorious. Unemployment here in Dallas and especially South Dallas is extremely high. I would say about 50 to 60% of the community here is living off a supplemented income, $755 a month. And obviously we know in this 2018, $755 will barely pay the amount to eat off of. And so it's a huge problem here in South Dallas. Brothers and sisters, mainly brothers, are turning to the streets to try to make more money. And obviously they're going back to jail, back to prison, ended up homeless under the bridges. The community suffers. The children are being raised without fathers. It's a real dark time in this community. But I'm extremely encouraged because in the midst of all that, we still have God doing His amazing work. But unemployment is up. They say it's not, but all you have to do is drive down Holmes Street, drive down Pennsylvania, drive down Pine Avenue, and you'll see a whole bunch of men sitting around doing nothing.
Okay, young man, tell me, what can we do to help the young black men down in South Dallas?
Put more job opportunities out in South Dallas area.
Say what now?
Put more jobs in the South Dallas area.
More jobs?
Yeah,
okay.
More churches.
Okay.
More opportunities for young men in South Dallas.
How will jobs help?
Keep us occupied and busy.
Keep you occupied and busy.
Yeah.
So just tell me what is the biggest need to help black men in South Dallas?
I say more opportunities. Ain't no opportunities around here in this area pretty much. We need more opportunities.
More job opportunities?
More jobs, just like more stuff to keep them active. Like ain't nothing around here, no recreation centers, no, like when you come to South Dallas, you just see the slum though. You just think about hard times and the struggle. You don't think of nothing positive on this side. So ain't too much going on around here, but bad. Pretty much.
So if there were more recreation centers, job opportunities, you think that would help South Dallas?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that'll help South Dallas a lot. It'll give people something to do with their time other than sit around, and have nothing to do. It'll provide more opportunity for young black men coming up. It'll give them something to work their brain, if they had something other to do, than just, hang around and, do nothing.
If you ride through the community in South Dallas and you see a lot of old houses, condemned neighborhoods, that can be a breeding ground for more job opportunities, right? That can be a breeding ground for more housing. Rebuild the houses, tear them down, put up some nice houses like they have in Highland Park, or like they have over in the North Dallas area, right? Or far North Dallas. We can have that same type of beautiful neighborhood here in South Dallas that they have over there. I don't see why not. It could be because of the crime rate. Hey, the crime would go down if there was more job opportunities, right? It wouldn't be no crime if everybody was at work.
Grind daily, money gang, little girl. All I need is one chance for me to make it. Watch me show these other rappers that they swag is overrated. Got that barrel on my waist and yeah, it came without a safety. If I get a word, I bet you my little sis gon' leave them naked. Cash money on my mind and I can feel my stomach aching. My mama tell me slow it down, but what's the point in patience when my daughter call me daddy and depend on me for bacon? I gotta bring it home, it ain't no benefit in faking. Playing me with altercation, then the chopper same cakes. Hitting notes like Alicia, leave your whole block vacant. Grind daily, money gang, Lil Gerald, GDMG.
Black men need jobs. A job is critical for a man. A man needs a job, or you could say career, but a legal means to make money so that he can carry his responsibility of providing for those that depend upon him. A man needs a job. Point blank, there's no simpler way to say it. Men need jobs. Black men need jobs. The high unemployment in the black community, we've talked about it already. It is just, it's awful. And it causes a lot of men to feel worthless, helpless, And many of them, unfortunately, end up turning to illegal means to try to make money. We need jobs.
How important is the father, the presence of a father in the home when it comes to educating children?
A father is very important in the home. As we know, it's a family unit. And so we talk then about what does that look like. Some of our students, their fathers are deceased. So then what are we doing, as a school? Do we need to provide a mentor? Who is it in the family? To just, never to replace. That's what we tell kids, never will it be replaced. But just how do we fill that gap in some of those life lessons? Who can step in? Be it here at the school, from a teacher, from a basketball coach, from a mentor, for someone at the church. We wrap our heads around who can that be? And sometimes it's multiple people at multiple times in life. Recently, we went viral because over the Christmas, right before the Christmas holidays, we generally have an annual breakfast with dads. And typically we have about maybe 10 fathers show up for a variety of reasons. One would be, they're working on an hourly job, unable to take off in the middle of the day, much like me as a principal, unable just to take off to go to a cupcake sale at my own children's school. You do have some that are, for whatever reason, incarcerated, some that are, starting their own families, they're just not around, live out of state. So typically we would have low participation, and we really wanted to not say that narrative this year. And so we were aggressive. We ran an article in the Dallas Morning News calling all men to stand in place for any of our scholars that did not have a father that could perhaps attend the breakfast for dads. Well, to our surprise, we were only looking for about 50 men. We end up having over 600 men step in this place and serve on behalf of 150 students identified that wanted to participate.
Did you grow up with your father?
Nah.
How did that impact your life growing up?
I don't talk to him.
You don't talk to your father?
Nah.
Okay. You wish he was in your life?
Nah.
No? Okay.
I want to talk about motivating our fathers to be more involved within their kids' lives. And by being involved in your kids' lives, that actually uplift them, empower them, and give them the sense that I'm being loved, that they're being loved. And a lot of fathers that I talk to and that I speak to, they say they want to go see their kid or visit their kids, but they being kept from their kids. And a lot of them are saying that they don't have things to give to their kids like toys or gifts, but they failing to realize that the best gift a father can give to his kids is himself. And you don't need no toys, you don't need money to go see your kids. All they need is that little time. I don't care if you do 5 minutes, they're just sitting there talking to them. They need to be taught by their father. They need to be influenced, a positive influence by their father, because seeing their father will actually uplift them.
It's a different generation when you get towards, say I'm 29. When you get down to 23, 24, I don't know, it's a different generation. They making babies thinking it's fun, thinking it's this and that, but it ain't. So, they not really accepting the responsibility of taking care of their kids, because I know a lot of young women that say, oh, my baby daddy don't do this, my baby daddy don't do that for my son or my daughter. But it's all, each his own. Some people think financially is the only way to take care of a kid, but really, sometimes it's about time. That's what I think.
But it's gonna start with us though, as the adults, because kids and youngsters do what we do and not what we say. We can preach to our faith till we blue in the face, man. If that kid don't see you doing that, he gonna do exactly what you're doing and not what you're saying. My kid's a prime example of that. I raised my kids in Bunton. They can walk outside their door any day and have somebody across the street doing dope. They point that way, I say, your school that way. Us as parents, we gotta stay in their business, man. Quit trying to be their friend. So what, the kid don't like you? You gotta respect you though. A lot of you parents want to be the kid's friend, and that's what got a lot of this stuff messed up out here, man. Everybody want to be cool with the kid. You gonna hurt his feelings. Well, the world gonna hurt his feelings. You might as well get him or her prepared for it now. Yeah, so let it start at home.
What about the issue of fatherlessness in the homes?
That goes again to the way the system was set up to have the woman need the system more than the father of her child. To take away the father. If anybody really read the Willie Lynch letters, it teaches you word by word how the system is set up to take the man away from the home and make the women more dependent upon the system versus dependent upon her husband, her man, her baby's father, however the case may be. When they did that, it glorified the woman saying, I don't need a man. And in some cases it's 50% true, 50% false, 50% lie. Because a woman doesn't need a man to validate her, but she does need a man to protect her, to protect the children, to protect the household.
And there's nothing better than being with your child, because I have a 12-year-old daughter myself, and that's the best gift I can say, because she wakes me up in the morning. That's why I wake up in the morning as well, to take care of her and make her feel good about herself as a black woman as well, because there's so many things in this world, like TV, radio, books they read. It's not really targeted to them. They're targeted to other nationalities.
Myself, I was raised without a father, so I could speak on that a lot. By me being in this ministry Nehemiah that I'm in, is a lot of guys in here have kids, but they're in a ministry, they've been on the streets for 3 and 4 years without their kids. So, drugs is taking over. And it's ridiculous, but we got to get it together one day. I just had a son of myself, and he's a blessing in my life, and he changing my life right now. So
how are you going to be a different father than your father was to you?
I ain't going to do nothing my daddy did. I'm going to just keep pushing. I ain't going to never give up. I'm going to always be there for my kids. I promise you that.
If you weren't involved in your 4 boys' life, how different do you think their life would be with them?
It'd be totally different, Pastor. It'd be totally different. Because I was raised up without a father. My grandfather raised me until my mother remarried, and she married a good man that taught me how to be a man, because my father wasn't nowhere around, and I instilled his values in my sons. I have one son in the military, one son is work for Frito-Lay, one son is a border patrol officer, and the other son is an air traffic controller. So my thing is this: I stayed on them all the time, but I know one thing about it: them streets is hard out there, because I've been on the streets. I know what the streets is, and I didn't want that for them. So they you live and you learn. So I teach them what not to do. I'm gonna do all the messed up stuff. I did all the jacked up stuff, so you wouldn't have to go through none of this. I'm proud of my sons. Everybody live in a different state, but hey, it is what it is. But the one thing my kids do to me, I'm daddy. No matter what I do, I go to church every Sunday.
So what does a brother do who's finding it difficult getting a job, plus he got child support? I mean, he's hit on both sides.
Yeah, I'm that brother. So what you do, you stay prayerful, keep swimming, because if you don't, you're bound to drown. You hear me? Straight up, man. You gotta keep swimming, man. You can't get caught in your feelings. You can't get caught in the dumps, because when you do, you're gonna get stomped. Yeah, man. Keep swimming, man. Things gonna happen. It's meant for it to happen. What you gonna, what the main key is, how are you, the type of person you is, how you gonna come up out of that situation? You gotta come up out of it, man. If you don't, you'll be stuck there for 10 years.
Were you raised with your father?
Nah. I just recently just met my father.
How did talk to us about that? How did that impact you? Not being raised with your dad.
I mean, none really. I mean, cause I always had my stepdad, and he was always there for me.
Okay.
And I always talked to him as being my real dad or everything.
So when you met your biological father, how was that?
I mean, it was alright. I mean, at first I didn't want to talk to him, and I just had to let him in, cause I mean, you my dad, so you want to come in, I'm gonna let you try. But if everything don't work out, I mean, it just happened.
The way your father being absent in your life, when you have children, is it going to cause you to be a different kind of dad?
I mean, nah, not really. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I mean, I treat my nephews like my own kids. I treat my nieces and them like my own kids. I take care of them and everything, wake them up for school and all that. I do what I gotta do for them. So if I have my own, I know I do right by them.
And what about education?
Shit. Some young men don't like school, so they can do that too, though.
You said some young men don't like school?
Yeah.
Okay.
So more men like working work jobs, keep them busy, because school won't work help nobody.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
How much education did you get?
I got a GED in jail.
You got a GED in jail?
Yeah.
And what'd you go to jail for?
I don't speak on it.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
What about the schools? Did you finish school?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay.
I graduated from Madison High School right here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How's Madison?
When I was going to high school, it was good. I don't know. I really don't know about it now because I'm out of school. I really don't know. But from what I see, it's going good.
Okay.
You know, from what I hear, it's going good.
Okay.
And so you're going to have to educate your kids yourself. Public school is failing like crazy because you got a public school in every city, but the kids are more dumber. Like I'm like, oh my goodness. And that's a shortcoming as well, you know.
Talk to me about school. The importance of education for a young black man.
I mean, school. I graduated from Job Corps, so I kind of wish I could have stayed in regular school, cause I mean I had like a lot of scholarships and everything, but me for is getting in trouble a lot. It messed me over on sports and everything, so I had to move away, go back to my hometown, and just go to school. And I went to school in Shreveport, so I graduated from Job Corps, and Job Corps kind of changed it all.
Okay. In school, did you get in trouble a lot?
Yeah, I got in trouble a lot in school, yeah.
What do you say to a young man who's thinking about dropping out of high school?
Don't do it. Stay in school, man. The old school saying when we was kids, the little commercial they used to play, stay in school, don't be a fool. Stay in school, don't be a fool, man. Education's still a high value, man. You're gonna need it, man.
We need better schools in South Dallas?
We need a lot of better schools in South Dallas. We need to quit closing schools in South Dallas. It's two schools closing in South Dallas right now. H.S. Thompson and Pearl C. Anderson. That's crazy, man. And stick all these kids in one school now, man. That school could be used for a developmental center or something. Not for the bad kids. I heard it was a rumor they were talking about we're gonna put all the bad kids in junior high and DISD at Pearl C. Now that ain't no good idea. You know what I'm talking about? That ain't no good idea. Now, why are you trying to make somewhere for the bad kids to go? What about the good kids? What about the kids that actually do right and want to be something in life? Build a spot for them and see how the world changes instead of building spots for the bad kids, so-called.
I grew up in the west part of Dallas, which is not too far from here. So my home school was LG Pinkston. And I remember going to that school, and my parents had also, or my father actually had also went to that school. And I remember him talking about how in his time, things were a lot different. His experience at school, it was more things going on, more activities going on, more after school things going on. So I think there's definitely a disconnection between the teachers and the students as far as how concerned they are for their future, or how concerned they are in cultivating the students, I guess. I kind of felt like the teachers didn't really care. They didn't really want to see me succeed. Not to say that they tried to prevent me from succeeding. I just don't think they really had that passion to teach.
Studies show that young black males are suspended from school more than any other group. Why do you think that's the case?
Because a lot of times, you know, me myself, I went through it, and I was reacting to a lot of things that had happened in my life, or I had so much anger built up so I felt like the principal couldn't tell me nothing, you know? And instead of them trying to figure out what was really going on with me or anything like that, they just wanted to punish me. You know, kick me out of school, tell me I'm suspended and can't learn.
Go ahead, you were telling us why black males get suspended more so than other kids.
Yeah, you know, I feel like they can't deal with a lot of the aggressiveness in the young black youth, man, you know, and they don't try to pinpoint where a lot of their anger coming from, their outbursts, you know, their short attention spans. Why are they sleeping in class? You know, first thing you want to do is say, hey, go to the principal office. I already told you, or, hey, I'm finna call your mom or whatever. And a lot of times that don't help, because that mom that you calling can be beating that child, abusing that child. That dad that you calling could be doing the same thing. You know, it's different things, man. You know, a child, it varies, man, to why they act like they act. But suspending them, I feel like, is very ludicrous, because what do they learn out of missing school for 3 days? You don't get nothing. Now for them 3 days, he probably in the streets running wild, pick up a gun, go rob, go shoot somebody, do something he ain't got no business. So now he's in more trouble than what this minor stuff was at school, because he didn't do his schoolwork. You know, it's different routes to punish a child without taking education out the picture. You know, and they wonder why a child say, man, you know what, school, I'm done with that shit. It's boring. I don't like it. It's not that they don't like the school. They don't like the people that's at the school. You know what I'm saying? They don't like the people that's at the school, because you got me feeling like when I come to school, I'm in a boot camp. You know, every time I have an outburst or I get angry, you want to send me to ISS, or you want to tell me, hey, just go home early. Call my mama to come get me. You know, and that doesn't teach a child nothing. They go home and play the video game or be on their phone, doing nothing, when they could be at school, you know, learning. Hey, you know what? Write me a 250-word essay of why you acted like you acted. I'm not going to take sports away from you, make you do something that I know you don't want to do. Run them laps. You know, and you can discipline a child in those ways or those forms without having to put them out on the streets to where they don't learn nothing.
So you're saying felon schools kick kids out into the streets, and from the streets they a lot of times end up in prison?
Yeah, because I did. You know, I skipped school. I got suspended for fighting. I got suspended for not wanting to do work. I went to in-school suspension, you know, and when I was out of school on suspension and my parents wasn't around, I did things of a typical boy. I got curious. I wanted to go do stuff. You know, me sitting in the house bored by myself, I didn't want to do that. So now I'm breaking into people's cars, I'm stealing. I'm having to call my mom and them to come get me because I went to jail for stealing. You know what I'm saying? So it just, yes, I feel like a lot of the felon schools don't try to reason with the child and find out what's actually going on with that child.
When you're dealing with black males or black children, period, you know, it's okay to be a Caucasian woman within the school system, but when you have a high percentage of white people or Caucasian people teaching their class, it's gonna be hard for them to teach because they don't relate to where we come from. We are black people, we are culture based. And if you ain't living within our culture, you really don't know how to teach us because you don't know what we've been through. And when you're dealing with black boys, our culture, we like to move, we like to dialogue, we like to move when we communicate. And I actually did an interview with the principal over there Barack Obama Academy, and they took me around a tour around their school, and they don't even let they black young boys sit down for a whole hour. They let their black boys actually even sit around and bounce on the ball as they do their work, because when they're dealing with black boys, we don't have the patience to be sitting down for 8 hours straight. Women might do, but black boys don't, because we got testosterone or whatnot. We have that, so we like to move around, and so it's gonna be hard for to have a little black boy to sit down in the classroom and just sit there for 8 hours straight. And that's why a lot of black boys are like really just failing right now, because they don't know how to teach our kids. So it's kind of hard to do that. So they acting like a lot of black men don't want to teach, but there are a lot of black men that's out there looking for teaching jobs, but they don't put it. The only way they will get a good job is over there in the southern sector, but there are African-American children outside of the southern sector that need to be taught by black men.
The education system here in South Dallas is lacking. They're trying to reach a community the wrong way. The schools are set up to bring kids in, but unfortunately, if the home has a solid foundation, if the home is not structured, then obviously you have kids that are skipping school. You have kids that are hanging out downtown with the West End station when they should be in school. We do have a few community centers here in South Dallas, but it seems to be that the community is not investing in the children. And so since there's no investing in the children, then obviously you see a high rate of dropouts, you see a high rate of teenage pregnancy, you see a high rate of just not caring about education.
Now, I've read books and articles and studies that says black males tend to lose interest in education at about 4th grade. I'm sure you've heard that and read that yourself. What does your school, what do you all do here to prevent that, to keep them engaged?
Of course, at the middle school level, and I won't say that it's that they lose interest. We don't know that to be necessarily perhaps true, but what we do see that happens at the 4th grade level is kids stop moving on their grade level, reading on grade level. So typically there's a study out, I can't remember who did this research. There where they had African American males in kindergarten or even pre-K reading above grade level. But by the time they reach 4th grade, they're no longer reading on grade level. So then what does that tell us? That they came to us reading on grade level. Who lost interest in who? And we're not pointing or blaming anything. It's a variety of reasons. I mean, it takes a village. We say that all the time, but it truly does take a village. It's the school, it's the environment, it's the community, it's the parents, it's everyone hands on deck taking interest in the child. And so what we do here at the middle school level, we started 6th grade, is going back again to getting all parties around the table. So we start with the counselor sitting at the table. We start with the teacher at the table, and administrator, and the child and the parent, talking about what are some dynamics we're experiencing here at school, and are they parallel to what's happening at home, what has changed in the home. A lot of things start to change, and then the child itself at the middle school level is going through a variety of changes.
Many young black males, based again on studies and research, are placed in special education, which is good if they need it, horrible if they don't. And few, however, are placed in gifted education. How can we change that? Do you find that to be true, and how can we change that?
So here, I do find that to be true, and it can be for, again, a variety of reasons. Typically, when you look at our students, if they are reading on a 2nd and 3rd grade reading level, which is typically where it stops, where research tells us with them continuing reading on or above grade level stops at about that 2nd or 3rd grade level if we don't keep them engaged. So what happens is by the time they get to 6th and 7th grade, if they're still reading on that 2nd and 3rd grade level, well, by all accounts, you would think, they would qualify for special education services. But we know that all of our students are not special educational students or needs. It's more of an instructional standpoint, going back to keeping them engaged and really bringing them to the table even earlier at 2nd and 3rd grade level to be sure that they're not dropping down significantly in their reading levels and keeping them on target. So as educators, we got to continue to do a better job of that, having kids read at least 30 minutes every night, even if it's a high interest something they're interested in. Like my child loves to read about dinosaurs again and again and again. So I just allow them to continue to do that. So again, at that second and third grade level, that's where you see a lot of kids then being identified. But what we do not do beyond elementary a lot of is identifying students for talented and gifted. That often happens at the elementary level one time, maybe twice in their entire educational career, and then that's how they're gathered. And we really don't do a lot of aggressive assessments for tag beyond that. So here though, when they get to secondary level, we have what is called pre-AP, which is pre-advanced placement courses. And we do, what we try to do here is really identify those kids that are still reading on grade level, that are doing well in reading and math. And we start to identify and talk with parents about, let's push them to advanced courses now. Let's see how they do with balancing the course load. Let's put accommodations in place so they are successful in these advanced courses. And what we tend to see is they stay in there for the next 3 years. And by the time they're able to go to high school, they already have high school credits and they continue to be identified and have the option to be in advanced placement.
Let's talk about parents. Getting parents and keeping them involved in the education process is critical. How do you do that here?
So it's a team effort. We really have tried to kick the door down with getting parents around the table. So we do here like mandatory parent conferences. When we get parents in here though, the goal is to provide them with resources to assist, because oftentimes what we see students display here at school, they're also displaying in the home. And so the parent is saying, yes, we're here, well, what are we gonna do about it? And so it's really a collaborative effort, and we always wanna keep it a collaborative effort when we get parents here to say, what can we do about it? What can we as a school provide? What can you do at home? And so at the school, we have right here, Eddie Bernice Johnson, Youth and Family Center. They're the Youth and Family Center. This is a partnership that Dallas has with Parkland Hospital. And so we have psychiatrists, therapists, doctors there that can see about our children. But also, we can share some of the dynamics that we're having here at school. They also are available to walk, so they get, let's say, counseling. Parents do not have to leave their jobs. They come right across here, walk in, get the child, and walk them right back over and provide counseling throughout the day. If a child is exhibiting different behaviors, and this stays on file their entire time in Dallas ISD. Because at the middle school level, they may not exhibit as much at elementary as they do starting at the secondary level, middle school and high school. And so we want to equip parents. They do entire family therapy. Let's say if there's a death or divorce or just different dynamics that kids are dealing with, they're able to express it, but also they bring the entire family in to teach them how to deal with just life situations. And that's what this is really about.
Black male teachers, I know, are critical in this process. What do you do here to attract and recruit black male teachers?
So I'm very blessed. I won't say lucky, I would really say blessed. I do have about 15 to 20 African-American male teachers here at this school. And they have joined me in this work. They believe in the vision of transformation. And so we work alongside each other. And so when we talk about transformation happening, they knowing that they are a key part. We recruit, we bring them to the table, and it's not just an African-American male, it's males in general that we want in this building to really impact the work. Not only for our males, but also for our young ladies, just to have a different side, a different view. And so it has really been working for our kids to just see a variety of dynamic educators in one building.
You've ridden through South Dallas, various neighborhoods here, and have seen the number of young black males who are just sort of standing out and not doing much with their time and so forth for various reasons. Obviously, what you're doing here plays a very critical part in trying to eliminate some of that. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you kind of carry that responsibility a little bit on your shoulders?
Absolutely. I mean, I really want to be an intricate part of that when these kids have passed through these doors and I see them graduating high school and they have their associate's degree, or even now when I see them in high school and they say, high school easy, Ms. Washington, and I'm thinking, okay, good, that was the goal, for it to no longer be such a struggle and for them to be exposed and have experiences that will change your life for the better.
Please, if you will, just look in our camera and imagine that that is one or more of the young black males. That's our focus here in the South Dallas area. What would you tell them about the importance of academics, or whatever you want to tell them?
First, I want to say we need you. Our community is waiting for you. You make the difference in the community. And so we're expecting for you to take your rightful place and lead this work in transforming a community. With that, yes, it is hard. Yes, it is the road less traveled, but you are qualified and equipped to make it and make the difference. The community is waiting on you. Go for it.
What is the greatest need, Pastor, in South Dallas for the men here?
I think the greatest need in South Dallas for the men particularly is those alternative examples, to fight those negative stereotypes, to fight those negative images that they may see on a day-to-day basis, to see those men live in our kingdom and godly principles, men who are trying to be good fathers, men who are trying to be good members of our community, men who are trying to be good husbands. That's what they need to see. They need to see that alternative example every day.
All right, Pastor. So, what I was saying, I have 4 sons of my own, and I feel with all young black men, us as older black men, got to teach them and show them the ways to try to go. But first of all, what I taught my children is that you put God first. If you put God in your life on anything that you do, you will accomplish that. But you're going to steer away, you're going to fall off and all this stuff, but don't never be scared to go back to God, because God will come for you. He will be there for you. Falls around here, I'm born and raised in South Dallas. I did my dirt. Now I'm an older person. You live and you learn. But if we don't teach them nothing different, they won't know nothing different. We got to show them. We got to set an example for them to show how, hey, it's a struggle. It's going to be a struggle with anything that you do in life. You just got to be able to, walk on through it.
Any closing comments?
Yeah. Each one teach one. Our kids gonna do what we do, so do right. Lead a good example.
Why do I think so many young black and Hispanics end up in gangs? I think it's the male companion, that we all long for. I think it's looking up to somebody. I think it has a lot to do with brotherhood. That those things are great to want to have, but going down a road like that can kind of give you a false sense of those things. Yeah.
Well, basically, I could say about the crime. The crime is ridiculous around here. They got a lot of people getting killed around here mostly every day. They're not gonna put it on the news around here. But if you could get somebody getting killed in North Dallas, it's gonna go on the news. They're not gonna share what's going on in the South. I don't know why, but that's how it is around here.
I always tell the young people seem to be drawn towards what is going on the streets. And unfortunately, there's another side of the streets. And a lot of guys don't talk about how many times have they been shot at, how many times have they been in prison, how many times have they went to jail. And these are the things that are not being told to the youth. They're not being told to the young people. And the kids want to be like the guys on the block. But unfortunately, the guys on the block don't last that long.
need over here, to be honest. You know, we need more activities, you know, more stuff for the kids. Like if you look around, ain't no more parks. You know, when I was coming up, it was parks, you know, places for the kids to go, free lunch. The city don't do none of that no more. You know, so they expect the kids to stay in the house, but really they ain't staying in the house. So the next thing for them to do is, you know, gravitate towards the streets, because they ain't got nothing to grab. No, my mama had me in all types of sports. I played football, basketball, soccer, anything with a ball. If my mama knew how to sign me up for it, I was in it.
What drew me to the gang was, you know, feeling like that was my family. And I say that to say this, a lot of us that are gang members go through the same thing. So we relate to each other. You know, daddy not there, mama by herself, or daddy dead, mama by herself. Big brother dead or locked up, or mama by herself, or grandma raised me by herself. You get what I'm saying? So when these things, they form, and we form cliques, and then we follow each other. Man, I'm finna be a Crip. Me too. Oh man, I'm finna be a Blood. Me too. Oh man, I'm gonna be a Folk. Me too. You see what I'm saying? Instead of saying, you know what, bro? And I'm finna keep playing basketball. You know, my vision wasn't this, but I could play basketball, I could play football. You know, my vision wasn't to grab a ball and just practice all day, practice on my dribble. I didn't, you know, my homeboys, we was out thugging in the streets. We was a product of our environment. We imitated what we saw. We became those things. And it's just like the brother said earlier, man, you are what you hang around. If I hang around my cousins and stuff that are thugs, I eventually become that suburban child that was focused, doing what's right, staying out the way, or that good hood child that was doing what's right, staying out the way. I eventually become that thug. Because now I'm peer pressured by my peers. Man, bro, I think you weak. Man, I don't think you're gonna ride for the hood. And as a boy or as a person that's already broken, you don't want to feel more broken or more weak. You know what I'm saying? So you tend to draw to those things just to be in something, just to feel like you're loved or a part of something. You know, a lot of people don't know why they join it, just because the hood is that, so they rep it too.
So what be going on out here in South Dallas?
Oh man, we just be goddamn be getting, man. Just be hustling, man. You know what I mean? Get money, man. You know what I mean? Ain't shit else to do, man. Ain't no bitch ass thing else to do down here, man. But get money. You know what I mean? Ain't no drama. Ain't no niggas doing no bunch of killing. I ain't gonna tell you that. You know what I mean? It's a bunch of niggas making way for a nigga to get money out here. We ain't making way for a motherfucker to make a funeral. We making way for a nigga to try to build something around here, man. You know what I mean? Way we do it in our neighborhood, fuck it, man. The white folks can't run us out, man, if we buy this goddamn meat. You know what I mean? This little place and turn it to a burger mart. They can't buy us out if we take this building, man, buy it, man, and turn it to a cleaners, man. You know what I mean? If we buy up shit in our neighborhood, how they gonna push us out? But if we killing each other, we ain't gonna do a bitch ass thing, man. But die off, man. So we gonna keep getting money, man, and let y'all die off.
The young cats shoot each other and kill each other a lot. Unlike what we used to do back in the day. Why do you think that's the case?
I think the way they were raised up. We used to get out and fight.
Ain't no discipline, man.
When you got that figure in your life, man, where, I can only speak from my own personal stuff. I teach my sons them to try to work something out. Try to talk to that person, walk away or whatever, but never run away from nothing. Because we ain't no cowards. Ain't no cowards in this family. You stand and be a man about everything that you do. You know, it don't hurt to sit down and try to talk to her and come to an agreement on something. You know, but with the brothers nowadays, you know, it's shoot first, you know, ask questions later.
You know what I mean? I think it was what one boy in the hood come out, Minister Society.
90.
They put all that out.
It was like 90 something, like 94.
Yeah, something like that. They put all that out right there. What it did was glamify the criminal life. You know, and that's what everybody took to. I mean, I'm sorry, that's what happened. You put it on the TV, you put it in their ears with the music, and then hey, now everybody want to sell dope, and instead of want to go to school to be a lawyer or a judge or something to really be able to make a difference. And then at the crib, you don't push them to do so because you still play the music and you do the things that they see on TV. So, I mean, like I said, at the same time, it still starts at the house. We got to get it together at the house first. When we do that, then, hey, man, everything else will change. You know, we train our children to be athletes, but do we train our children to be, the U.S. Senate representative? Things of that nature, or mayors, or just position of political power. We don't do that, and until we do start doing that type of stuff, we're gonna be stuck in the same. I like to say collective consciousness of just being stuck, pretty much. Period. And that to me, that just sums it up.
So speaking of the violence, you ever had any run-ins with guns and that sort of thing on the streets?
Yeah, in 2012, I almost got killed right out here in South Dallas. Some guys tried to rob me, put the gun to my head, told me give me everything you got. But you know, by me knowing streets, I just ain't up nothing. I just started fighting and started running. And by the grace of God, I'm here today. Cause they shot at me 4 times and I ain't get hit. So I just thank God that I'm still here today, cause I could have been on the first 48.
Minister Dominic Alexander, president and founder of the Next Generation Action Network. If you would, sir, give us some comments about police brutality and whether or not we're progressing in that area.
Well, in a Trump era, we have saw numbers actually increase, right? And since the Ferguson uprising and all these different things in historical cases, right, we really have not saw the Justice Department really be hard enough and throughout the country on police brutality. And what it has set in the mind of officers and police unions across this country is that they're not going to be held accountable. And that's why these type of direct actions are important, because of the fact that we cannot allow this to be our new norm. We cannot continue to accept a tactic of punching a man and slamming a man's head and kneeing a man on the ground face down to be the new norm, for that to be acceptable. We have saw continuously in the city of Fort Worth, in Dallas, throughout Texas, throughout the country. Right now we're on the brink of a week ago from no charges being filed on Alton Sterling. We have an uprising in Sacramento of Stephon Clark. We have these continuation of cases and not enough accountability. And where do we get to the brink? Where do the local policymakers say, okay, enough is enough? And that's where the people have to turn their focus on and making sure that we elect the people that look like us, sound like us, talk like us, understand the struggle of a citizen, and allow our voices to be heard loud and clear. And that's why these type of direct actions at a city council meeting is important. We have to be able to demonstrate coming from the street and going into the chambers where the policymakers are, so that we can affect change.
I'm here to speak on the issues about the police officers and black men in generally. You know, every time we come outside, we fear for our life and profile just for the color of our skin. And, all of us are not the same. we're the same color, but we're not the same people. We're all different people. So we shouldn't be discriminated by the color of our skin. We come outside, all of us is not doing wrong. You know, some of us are, some of us not, but all of us not. I mean, not all of us, some of us not, and some of us are. So it's just that as the police officers, we understand that they have power and everything, but you know, they mistreating it and mistreating us as people. And you know, some of us are tired of it, especially when we're not the criminals, but we're all getting treated as criminals. So, you know, I wish that, you know, the higher leaders would do something about this. You know, I know you probably look at me and say, hey, I'm just another black man, but really I'm just another person, you know, just like you and anybody else. So I'm just getting tired of people just, you know, the police and, you know, the system is just, it just seems like it's just against us. So I just wish, you know, something, you know, a change would come, you know.
Police brutality. Man, I've been seeing it ever since I was a kid. You know, even that's why I got one of my felonies. I got an assault on a public servant. And I caught my first felony back in 2007, dealing with some racist cops that profiled. Because I got profiled because I was coming out of a club, and we was like the last people leaving that club, but they was actually out there watching people leave from the club. So they actually profiling at once. So they seen us leave, so got to a whole altercation and whatnot. So they was actually profiling us. But it comes from a lot of laws that's being put in perspective, straight targeting black people. You know, just like the stop and frisk law. That came up strictly for black people, because if you want to pull somebody over and check their cars, all you got to do, you just pull them over. But they ain't finna be pulling over no white folks like that.
The police shooting kids. Oh, I thought he had a real gun, but did you take the chance to tell him, hey son, come here, what do you have? Did you stop to really use your vision to see, hey, is this a real gun or not? Or did you, first thing you do is jump out your patrol car with a gun, aimed at my head and tell me get on the ground? And I'm asking you why I'm getting on the ground, because I was walking and I looked like somebody that just did something.
Implicit bias is a problem with many white police officers when it comes to black men. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, in their training, a lot of training that goes on in engagement, right? You know, you put a lot of book stuff, right? You get what I'm saying? But there's not enough engagement. Getting officers out of cars and going into urban communities and communities that don't look like them, right? Don't sound like them, and understanding the way that community works. It's just like, I remember I criticized one time, it was coffee with the cops, right? And I told people, you know, grandparents and in the elder community, we make coffee at home. You get what I'm saying? Because Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts ain't never set up shop in the urban communities, right? You get what I'm saying? So having a program like Coffee with the Cops is not community engagement. Actually having effective programs that actually address the community and actually bring the community together. But it's going to start, it's only going to start if we have to have better community engagement.
And could you state who you are again and what organization you're with?
I'm Minister Dominic Alexander. I'm the president of the Next Generation Action Network.
Just like the boy that actually killed 16 students in the school building, in that school, and they captured him. That's what they do with a lot of mass murderers, a lot of white mass murderers. They like to capture them, but when it comes down, and kill us. We ain't doing nothing but probably walking across the street, and they go shoot us down like a dog.
Police brutality.
Do right. Do what they ask you to do. They tell you put your hands up and quit talking. What you still talking for with your hands on your side? They gave you an instruction, man. You know what I'm talking about? And you gonna get smoked. Simply. Mind. See, we don't like to mind. Mind somebody. You know, your grandma used to say, you need to mind. Yeah, we don't like to mind, man. So until we start minding, you know. But then too, it's all they made that stuff up to kill us, man. They don't want us around here, man. We didn't make no laws. We wasn't no sheriffs. The Klan, the sheriff. So, you know, just do right, man. Try to help more than you hurt. You'll be all right. Quit worry about these mundane things down here.
we need more men that want to actually, engage these young men and actually teach them better than how we were taught. And most of us were taught right, but forgot the actual standard in which was taught to us to maintain, to maintain our heritage, to maintain what our ancestors before us were actually taught. How to hold your head up high, hold your pants up around your waist. I don't have, it's to each its own really about, how you wear your clothes, but perception is everything. I teach my sons the same thing. Perception is everything. And if you present yourself in a certain manner that's unbecoming of oneself, then you're going to be perceived in such manner. We really need more men to step up to the plate and give these young men what is really needed. Something more than just glorifying the dope game or glorifying degrading women and the pop a pill here, smoke a blunt there. But like I said, to each its own how you live, but live yourself in a more righteous manner, in a more, I guess, let me use one of my grandfather's words, more classier manner.
And seeing our youth these days, they lack leadership, they lack guidance from the bigger brothers, the fathers, the uncles that could be there. They lack courage, to be something different from what your clique is. They have to understand that it don't make you weak to be different. It don't make you soft to be different. It makes you smart to be different for the simple fact that you can succeed further than what a lot of your peers will do, man. Don't follow the crowd. And and I tell my kids, the older ones, every day, man, that it's easy to get in trouble, man, but it's real hard to get out of. And you pay for that the rest of your life. One mistake, can cause you a lifetime of affliction.
If anybody really paid attention to the ways the system has actually taken the man out of the household and placed them in a place where in bondage all over again, because the prison system is nothing but new modernized slavery.
Talk to me about the prison system, criminal injustice, incarceration.
First of all, the prison system is more privately owned now, so the state can get more money. And you have a lot of prisons that if they're not 98.9% full, they'll sue the state. So you got a lot of people getting rich off of incarceration and under minimum wage work. You have a lot of men that are in prison doing a lot of work for pennies on the dollar. Literally.
Do I think the criminal justice system is rigged against blacks? Absolutely. Absolutely. My view on that is I'm a part of the criminal justice system on the other side, right? Ever since the age of maybe 15. I'm 42. And I'm still just getting over being out of the judicial system maybe 3 or 4 years ago, right? And it's still affecting our lives today, As far as the guys that are hanging out on the corner, I see the police roll up here every day. Right, they're just on the corner trying to make a living. I know it gets annoying sometimes, and I know that it can be dangerous sometimes. But for the most part, to get them off the corner is to put them in a job, or put them in some housing, or give them a option or a way out. And there are plenty ways out, and it's up to them to take that way out, right? And for the judicial system here in South Dallas, a lot of they have the same motive or the same stereotype as regular people, because they're all regular people just for uniforms on. And they look at this area and they say, hey, what better way to clean it up than to get them out put them up in jail, or put them in an institution somewhere. But when they get out, they're gonna come back to what they're familiar to. I've seen the cycle over and over and over again, and I've been here in this place for a year.
I'm an ex-offender, I'm a felon, and once I got out, I didn't have no worldly education when I got out. I had my mental education because I like to read and I like to write. But if you don't have no documentation, it's considered non-valid to the dominant society. But so I went to go get my GED, and then after I got my GED, I said I get my GED, I go get me a degree. But I think, I went to go get my food management license next from El Centro, and then I went to go get my degree. You know, I got an associate's degree or whatnot. And then once I went to go apply for some jobs, when they still wouldn't accept me. But that comes from the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment states slavery is abolished unless you commit a felony and go to jail. And once you commit that felony, shackles will be up on you to the day that you die, keeping you from opportunity. And that's basically what that is. So I could say I'm strictly limited to just getting warehouse jobs unless I know somebody or something like that. So that's the sad thing. So why would I have to work for a warehouse all my days of my life just because I committed a felony? That's serious, especially first time offense. And then it's just real deep the way they do it, you know? And I can't get myself over it. And I've been trying to get jobs. So what I did to start my own job. And that's what I got, Sir Bishop Designs. You can always check that out. I do photography, videography, and design. So, and also I got my own little old business, you know, with my own program that I host for non-custodial parents. So them the things that keep me active and keep me positive from being like 15 years drug-free. I was on PCP for 15 years. I don't smoke cigarettes no more, you know, so I had to keep myself active, keep myself positive, keep myself around a positive atmosphere, you know, so I can get myself back together, you know. Plus I got a daughter that I got to raise, so.
Do I think having a felony on your record in the future is fair? No, I don't think it's fair. You know, I think that whole saying, you know, once an addict, always an addict, or once a troublemaker, always a troublemaker is a lie. So for somebody to put that stamp on somebody's life who comes to the conclusion that they can do better, yeah, I don't think that's fair on the individual. Do felony records affect African Americans and Mexican Americans more so than other Americans? I would say yeah. I would say through my experience, I've been around incarcerated in institutions with majority of Mexican Americans and African Americans. So I would say yeah. That's what my experience has been.
Some of the cats out here tell me, as we know, that when they go looking for a job, you know, their criminal records interfere with their ability to get a job. What do you say about that?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, you know, that was set up. You know, that's from the beginning. So instead of sitting back whining about it, just maneuver around it. Get your record expunged. You know, there's ways around it, man. If they made it to destroy us, it's ways for us to get around the destruction, man. Quit crying, man. Get up off your toot, man. There's ways around everything, man. I know dudes got aggravated assault records and work at law firms. You hear me? Yeah, step your game up, man. Quit crying. Talking about your record. I got 4 felonies. Shit. I realized I had 4 felonies, wasn't nobody gonna hire me, I wasn't gonna get nowhere to stay. I got my barber license. You hear me? You have to make something happen, man. What I gonna do? Sit around and keep putting in job applications, getting told no? I ain't used to getting told no. I'm used to getting out making my own. Ain't that right, Pop? Yes, sir.
So I heard you say earlier that what brothers need to do is create their own opportunities.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I mean, for an example, you got a old regular Caprice with $10,000. You got a $1,200 book value car with $10,000 rims on it. That go your starter kit right there. You hear me? That go your starter kit to your business right there. You hear me? Yeah, man, create your own. Yeah. You tired of your mama spending $10 for a loaf of bread? Rent one of these buildings, man. Sell that car. Rent one of these buildings and open up a convenience store right in your neighborhood. Right across the street from your grandmama. Make it light on. Yeah, we can create our own, man. We just sitting back looking for handouts because we were getting pampered for so many years. No, man, get up and make it happen, man. We still got action, man.
Number one, when I see a lot of black men hanging around on the corners in South Dallas, they're not hanging out, they're living out, right? 85% of those men are homeless. And the other 15% are probably drug dealers, right? So between the homeless and the drug dealers and the addicts in this community to say that they're hanging out, they're not. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to create a job, all right? By any means necessary. I'm not condoning that drug selling is a way of life, but when you dealt those type of cards, right? Every man wants a way out. They don't want to do that forever. They're just trying to eat. A lot of guys that I see on the corner, I was one of the guys that was on the corner. I was one of the guys sleeping up under the bridge. I was one of the guys that was using. I was one of the guys that was breaking into houses. I was one of the guys that was dealing drugs. And the bottom line to that is that, hey, I wanted to get out. I don't want this way of life, because if I keep going down this road, I only have three things that are going to happen: jails, institutions, or death. All right, those are my 3 choices. But today, I can say thank God that I chose life because of Christ. Right, and so for the guys that are hanging out on the streets, it's my opportunity and it's my responsibility to go teach them or to go show them that it is a better way of life out here other than hanging out. Now, some might get it, and some might be what we want to say chronic homelessness. That is where when somebody is susceptible and adapted to that way of life, that they don't know anything else, right? So just like the institutions in jails, they are overflowing by men out of this community by itself. Just South Dallas alone.
How has Christ changed my life? Man, so back in 2013, I was in this community here. I was strung out on heroin, dropped out of school, pretty much gave up on whatever it was, a future looked like. And the most interesting thing was, God brought me directly into this neighborhood here where there is the most drugs, I believe, within all of Dallas. It's apparent. You see it when you're walking. You don't have to go far to get it. But right in the middle of this, he brought me to a ministry right here in South Dallas called the Men of Nehemiah. And I believe that's the first time where I actually got to see who God was. I got to see who Jesus was. And it did something to me. You know, I had experienced many rehab and treatment centers, but nobody ever really shared the love of Christ with me. And I think that was because, you know, like we've been talking about, the people that you see on these streets, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's teachers, whether it's the judicial system, a lot of them have said, we give up with them. You know, we're gonna wipe our hands clean. You know, that's it. You know, and I didn't, you know, I guess I felt like I didn't really had a voice. And because of the issues that I was going through, the drug addiction just made it seem like I was another crackhead on the street, basically. So that, yeah, at Nehemiah, that was the first time somebody really shared the love of Christ with me, and I really believed that God loved me, and that I could be forgiven, and that I wasn't a crackhead, and that I was one of His children, and that I did belong to God, and that He did have a purpose for my life. And it was, you know, ever since then, you know, I've been with my brothers here in this area, because I think when a man finds purpose in his life, and he's directed by God, that's all he wants to live for. That's all he wants to live for. You know, things do come, you know, God has blessed us in so many ways with getting jobs and rebuilding our families, even for me, even getting an education, you know, getting my high school diploma. But to know Christ and to serve Him and to have a greater purpose in this life and in the next, I think that's probably one of the most best things that I've experienced. And it's not just about getting clean, but it's about finding a new way of life and a new purpose that I can, you know, I can take that stand that I wanted to take when I was younger, but in a whole nother way. Yeah. How do I think Christ could impact South Dallas? You know, I just take a look over the small amount of time that I've been here and just see the amount of work that He's done here in this area. Through Cornerstone Baptist Church, the Men of Nehemiah, Cornerstone Crossroads Academy, Cornerstone After School Program, and so many others that I probably can't even, you know, think of, where people have been brought into the family of God. They've been redeemed, and their main purpose or their main thing is they want to share that with others. And I think that's what's happening here in South Dallas. Slowly but surely, in God's timing, He's bringing people back to Him, and He's sending those people back out to do the same with others. And I believe, you know, and even in my own life, you know, I take Scripture pretty seriously, and you know, when it says that the only thing that will last is what we do for the kingdom, I believe that. I believe that. I believe that that's the ultimate goal in my life. How can I remain humble and love the next person regardless, you know, of anything?
So how has Christ changed your life?
You know, 2010, I was drunk, I was on drugs, selling drugs in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was New Year's night, and I went to church New Year's night, and I asked my pastor, I said, I want to stop doing what I'm doing. I said, can you find somewhere for me to get help? And my pastor said, Chris, I've been knowing you for years, and I love you. I will find you somewhere to get help. And he sent me to Dallas in 2010 to the Men of Nehemiah to get my life together. And I've been here ever since 2010. 8 years I've been in Dallas, and you know, it's just been wonderful. It's nobody but God. I'm married. I have a daughter. I just had a son. So I have a wonderful family, you know. And it's nobody but God, because I always said I'd never get married. I'd never have kids. But God changed that for me, turned everything around.
Now, let's talk about the economics of South Dallas. I read recently that South Dallas has an annual median income of about a little bit under $14,000. Economically, what are one or two of the greatest needs in South Dallas?
So the question is, economically, what are two of the greatest needs that South Dallas needs to have in order to prosper? And so I would say jobs. So one of the biggest issues that everyone has south of the Trinity is that most of the jobs are north of the Trinity. We do have some small businesses and so forth, but if we're talking about South Dallas Fair Park, we don't have many large providers of jobs. And so that's one component. Second is education. So we have Charles Rice, it's a wonderful school. We have St. Anthony's and we have St. Philip's. Besides that, a lot of our schools need improvement. So the workforce that we're providing out and the education that we're providing out is not where it should be. And I think we're striving to get better. I think we can make even greater strides if we work together better. And we need to attract a big employer, like an Amazon, to be within my hope in the South Dallas Fair Park area or somewhere close near there where we can provide jobs. One of the warehouses that we have is off of 20. So people think, oh, that's in South Dallas. But if you're talking about South Dallas Fair Park, that's not. You need to take a bus or a train or a car to get there. You can't simply walk there to there. So we don't have a large supply of jobs. And then we really need a wholesale workforce help, like a El Centro moving to South Dallas proper, like they did in West Dallas with that El Centro campus that's right there off of, I want to say it's Hampton and near Singleton. We need that type of concentrated help within South Dallas to build up a generation that can be educated, work, and be able to get jobs and be able to move up.
Excellent. I guess this is a good time to ask you about one of the issues with the men in South Dallas. I hear a lot of this. A lot of them are felons. Of course, that affects their ability to get jobs. And on top of that, they have children that they're obligated to pay child support for. So it's kind of a catch-22. What could be done to help those guys?
Well, to help men, the question is to help men who have a criminal background, especially those with felons, and on top, they also have children that they need to pay child support to. So it's funny because I had a conversation about this not too long ago. First of all, we need to coordinate with businesses who are background friendly. We need to have job fairs that are background friendly. We need to prepare men and women, but especially men who have these backgrounds, prepare them for the job fair, for how to interview, how with the resume, all those different things. Some of this may be construction work. Some of it may be warehouse work. And letting them understand you may be sacrificing here, but your children are going to benefit. We also need to work with our court system and understanding that many times I understand they're in the rears, they're backed up, they're struggling, but we need to work with these gentlemen who are coming out of prison, and it may take some time. First of all, we just don't want them to be just financially obligated. They need to be emotionally obligated to the child. So this guy who's working to try to pay that child support, he's working so much now, he's not emotionally involved. These children need more of the emotion than the financial. They need a father who's present than a father that's always away working. And we can see that in the statistics. So we need to work through those issues. The sad case is that we know at least 70% of the men are not in the household. That's a nationwide statistic, maybe even higher in our situation. We know that a lot of our gentlemen are going to jail, in jail, or just got out of jail. So they're almost marked with a scarlet letter. We have to get in the business of, and I believe this is why the church is important, to use its influence. We need to talk about grace, because the truth is, for many of us who are Christians, we come from a belief we all came from a place of sin, all came from a place of a problem, and that we were given grace. Well, in our world, especially when it comes to African American males, that philosophy seems to lose somewhere. And grace needs to happen, because just because I made a mistake when I'm 18 does not mean now at the age of 28 I'm still that same person. I truly believe you probably grown up. A lot of those decisions that you made at 18 because you did not have a father yourself, you didn't have a mentor, you didn't have direction, you didn't have hope, and you didn't have a good education. And even Plato talks about that. A person without an education is almost doomed to a life of criminal activity. And so we had to start placing hope into people's hands, and we got to start giving education into people's minds. And then we got to give a little grace. No, let's think the best of somebody and not the worst of them. And I think those are the kind of strategies that we need to have. Now I will say lastly, we need to build a spirit of entrepreneurship within South Dallas Fair Park. We're not going to convince everybody to hire people with criminal backgrounds. We know that. But we are people that I believe we can be innovative in not just having barbershops, but food trucks. Whatever we can think of, this is a season where you can be an entrepreneur, make as much money off of eBay and online sales and remote sales than you can open up a brick and mortar store. And so I think we need to start saying, hey, you can do this. These are some means to do this, and not in a traditional way, but in a great way where it still is helping you, helping your kids, and now you're moving forward and you're your own boss. So who can fire you?
Okay, Judge, you just talked about fatherless families and nationally in South Dallas. How is fatherless families affecting South Dallas?
The question, how is fatherless families affecting South Dallas? I think it's affecting in a great way. We have super women in our community. We have super women who I don't believe have a kryptonite, except for they don't have enough time in the day to do all the things that they need to do. These super women, they work, they cook, they provide for their family, they got help with their homework, they try to do everything. The truth is, but they didn't make the child by themselves. There's a responsibility from the man to contribute emotionally, spiritually, and financially to this child. It's not just all on this young lady. Second, we know there's a balance that a little girl and a little boy both need. A woman and man aren't the same person. They come with different values and emotions and things to contribute. So if I build a cake, but I'm missing ingredients in the cake is kind of don't feel right. It can be all right, but it ain't at its best. And we've seen from statistics, when fathers are involved in education, the kids do better. When fathers are involved in the life of their children, the behavior is better. And I believe you'll see crime go down. The effect that it has on South Dallas is that it stresses out our community. It stresses out the family home. It stresses out in the school. When I look at these courts and I look in the juvenile court, you primarily find mothers who are accompanying the children to the court. Where's dad? When I have ladies come to my court, they're like, I'm trying to pay this, pay that, and I got 3 kids. Is the father helping? No. Where is he? I don't know. That's stress. And stress leads to frustration. Frustration will lead to a lack of hope. A lack of hope will make you do some desperate things or just give up. See, but it all goes back to that gentleman. Even if you contribute $1, contribute. because that child needs that. When that young lady is frustrated, that child is getting frustrated. You know, it's hard to have a father-daughter dance and you don't have a father there. This young lady she's not married. It's not immaculate conception. You need to be there and don't make excuses. We have had a generation of excuses that now we see the outcome of it is a large concentration of poverty, a large concentration of criminal activity, and a large concentration of children growing without hope. So that's how I think it is affected. But I think we can get better. I think we are in that season where we're going to get better. I believe churches are coming online to address the men in the community and not just worry about those coming in and out our community, those commuter churchgoers. No, those who are within South Dallas Fair Park and addressing men and giving them hope, and then giving them hope that there are jobs out here, there's hope out here, there's a Christ that believes in you out here, and there's people in our city that's willing to help you on your legal side, on the financial side. There's hope out here. And so I believe those type of churches, nonprofits, and community activists are going to bring a new revival within our community that's going to address our men, from Bontown Farms to so many different other nonprofits and churches out there. But we're going to get it done. That's how I feel at this point. We've been stressed out, but now we about to get hoped up.
I want to stop right there. That's a beautiful closing, but I got one more question for you. That's just excellent. I may need to just stop because you just summed it up for us very well. But let me just ask one more. And I think you've covered a lot of it already, but still. There is this notion of the school to prison pipeline. And I think you've been addressing it already. You have in various ways. Just give us some very last closing comments about the school to prison pipeline. In fact, I heard somebody use the term the other day, the cradle to prison pipeline. Some of these issues start long before school.
Yes.
You know? So what do you have to say about the cradle or the school to prison pipeline, Judge?
Well, the question, what are my thoughts on the prison, the pipeline in prison? I think there's a pipeline in prison. I think there's a road to hope. And so with the pipeline to prison, we've seen, depending upon your zip code, and our zip code in South Dallas, 75215, 75210, and 75223, we've seen that we've had schools that have been a deficit in educating our children. I don't think to the lack of quality teachers. I think some of our classes have too many kids in it, and they come with a lot of problems. And that a teacher is there to teach, that you have to maybe have social workers there, making home visits. We need to have a net of nonprofits that are helping to feed, educate, and empower our community. But this pipeline to prison, if all I see is folks getting arrested, if all I see on TV and on my streets, guys hanging out, maybe doing illegal activity, not being productive, if I'm taught that this is the best I can do, then I'm going to walk around and do the fool, be hopeless. The road to hope is very different. If I tell a person, an educated person, and expose them, life is better than what you see on the corner. Life is better. You have more in you than you know. You have been endowed with greatness. You have a purpose and a calling on your life. It's not to hang on the corner. It's not just to be 3 o'clock in the day hanging with your boys, but it's to go to work, provide for your family, and be where, if it's from a sanitation worker all the way to being a doctor, wherever it is to be, you are to be great. And if you start endowing that and start espousing that, preaching that, telling them that you're speaking that life into them, I truly believe you change a generation. And this generation has been told so many times, you ain't nothing. But I'm here to tell you, things are changing. I love that we had this movie, Black Panther. These kids got to see African Americans' own film looking great. And that's what we can bring in our community. The greatness shall start, and we will be that road to hope. May God bless you and keep you.
Hello, I'm Pastor Augustus Corbett. I'm pastor of Salt Makers Church, a new church that we're bringing to the South Dallas area. I hope that you have enjoyed this documentary. I pray that it has instilled hope in your heart. Now, I'm standing out in front of the Billy Earl Dade Middle School, and this school is emblematic of the hope that I have in my heart. This school has some rough times, but this school has made a turnaround because of the great leadership of its principal, her staff, her teachers, and the hard work of these kids. And I believe that it's emblematic of the hope and the turnaround that South Dallas will experience. But that turnaround is going to come only to the degree that we're able to reach and restore the men here in South Dallas. Why? Because men are the backbone of any community. Somebody said, if you save a man, you save a family. And if you save a family, you save a whole generation. And so this documentary was focused on breaking the curse that some of the men here in South Dallas face. And in their own words, they talked about how they are overcoming those curses and how they're making a better life for themselves and for their families. Again, I pray this documentary instill some hope. I pray this documentary showed you that South Dallas is standing on the cusp of a great turnaround, and I plan to be right in the middle of it. Our mission as a church is to bring the kingdom of God in this area and to make authentic Christ followers. Our website is www.saltmakers.org. We pray that you go to our website, learn more about our church, the great things that we believe God is going to do through our church. Once again, we trust that you enjoyed this documentary. God bless you until the next time. Bye.